Okay, so you created this self-love bubble, and we're going to contain it within the aura. It did flow out into your aura, so that your aura is now reflected. So not only did all the self-love help heal all your tendons, ligaments, bones, muscles, all of that, but you're allowing the world to see you as light. Your aura is the first point of contact. It's kind of like your energy skin, so it's this bubble that surrounds you, and it's your first point of contact with the outside world. And so most people will feel you before they even hear you. And so, like, like somebody could be totally like saying all the right stuff, and it seems like you're cognitively in sync, but you just don't like them, or just something rubs you the wrong way. That's usually like the aura and the energy presence. And what happens with the aura, so it's like that energy skin, right? As we go through life, as we live through life, and trauma happens, stuff like that happens, there's two responses to trauma usually. So maybe like in the fourth grade, you liked a kid that didn't like you back, and your ego got hurt. And then that could be trauma. So two things tend to happen. Some people, when stuff like that happens, they dissociate and they leave their body, and that pokes a little hole in your aura and makes for a porous aura. Other people will like kind of resist the trauma or get mad, and so it's almost like scar tissue on the aura, and it creates like little dark stagnant pockets, and so it's like tougher skin, right? And so if that's your coping mechanism, so then that's the fourth grade. Fast forward to like the seventh grade, and somebody like you have acne, and somebody calls you like zit face or something like that, and you have like this energy pattern, and so you're leaving the aura again, making your aura even more compromised, more porous, or you're getting mad and creating even more scar tissue and identifying with that scar tissue. So what tends to happen is either, or a combination of both, the aura gets to be super dense and thick with all these past thoughts of like, I'm identifying as being rejected, I'm identifying as being ugly, I'm identifying as this and that, and either that, I'll continue with that example. And so it's a filter, right? It's the first point of contact with the world. If you're identifying with all this scar tissue, the world is going to see you first through that scar tissue, like ugly, I want to reject you, this and that. Like there's something about this person that I don't want to get close to. And you're going to interpret other people's reactions or responses, or the life's response to all this scar tissue as well. So, so let's say your boss, going back to the example of your boss wants to promote you, but if you have all this scar tissue, you might think, and the promotion maybe means that you're joining a different team and they won't be your boss anymore. If all this scar tissue is going on, if your aura is a little bit cluttered with all this stagnant energy, you can misinterpret that as, oh, they hate me, they want me out of their team. They're disguising it as a promotion and like they like me, but actually it's rejection, because all your scar tissue suggests rejection. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it can really mess with how you're interpreting stuff and how people interpret you. A highly porous aura means that you're so, like, what my boss thinks of me is what I think of me. I've stopped thinking for myself, basically. And so let's say boss wants to promote you, then you're like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, but it's not your own authentic thoughts. Like, it's not a genuine self-confidence. It's more external validation, where, so if I take away the source that's validating me, then I don't feel good about myself anymore. So if I only feel good for as long as my boss wants to promote me, but the second that goes away, I'm horrible at my work, I'm not really smart at all. Does that make sense? And so we're going to go through the layers of the aura. If there's any holes, we'll mend them. If there's any scar tissue, we'll let it go. The aura is that bubble, and then we'll tuck it into our grounding cords. So any dark spots, we'll examine them first, and then we'll release them down the grounding cord, just to have a better understanding of self. So I'll give you an example. In my aura, So before I started doing this work, I like totally felt like really ugly as a kid and totally rejected, and like there was just no space for me to be me. And so I had all these conflicting messages in my aura of like rejection, rejection, rejection. And then the second I started getting energy, that felt good. And so the rejection, I found like created holes in my aura because I kept leaving. But then the second, like energy started coming in of like, I want to be your friend or I want to date you or whatever, I was so susceptible to that, that I would I was a people pleaser, and I'd like entertain things that weren't of service to me because that's the only thing that I knew, to validate me because of all this rejection stuff. And I was attracting a lot of unwanted attention. And after cleaning out the aura, now the attention that I'm attracting is more about the spirit, and it validates me because I already have that self-love within, so I don't need the outside world to validate it. And it's just kind of like kindred spirits and something that ignites me. And it totally cleaned up my personal life, it cleaned up my professional life, even it cleaned up like family relationships and everything, because I'm not seeing my mom as rejecting me anymore. I'm not seeing my brothers as so it like cleaned up all my relationships. It cleaned up my walk through life, where there could be events where I'm not getting my way and I don't care, and it doesn't say anything about me. My aura is good. I don't care. There's not that scar tissue for like another reinforcing, rejecting thing to validate. Like it's not there, so it's less sticky and it just doesn't even hit me. There's this Anise Nin quote that says, "We don't see life as it is, we see life as we are." And so the aura, like the more we cleanse it and heal it, the more we can see life as it is and not be so triggered by all of it and not live from a past place of power, but from the present place of power. Any questions? All right, so we'll experience that.